there's a so financially there's this thing that we have our money in, and so you have security questions, okay, and this was back. So one of the security questions is, what is your dream job? Right here. So there's one of the answers right there, and that's been the case since 2011. You know, when we created that thing. But it's unless when you go to school here, if you're from here, it's like any guy like myself, Jamal. All of our buddies are out and coaching now. I mean, you've got, Garen Justice out at UNLV. There's countless others. John Payton's down in the Mountaineers. I mean, there's guys all over. I'm leaving people out. This is always the job. It's not a job. This is the job. So, this is always the goal. And that's just what this university does to you when you go here. It is home. And so the fact to be here, I mean, I hope I don't have to go anywhere else.
Other than the fact now you've got to change that password.
No doubt. That wasn't a password. It wasn't a password. It wasn't a password. It was just a question. Just a question. No. We already dealt with identity theft before, but no, that's just, me and my wife joked about that the other day because she was trying to get into something. She said, "Oh, how about this?" So, but no, that's definitely not the password.
When you were here before, you probably had more responsibility as a student assistant and then GA and everything than any other person in your position in the country. How much did that help push your career along, do you think?
Well, whenever you go back and you always go back and wish you got more out of what you did. I always wish I got more out of this experience, and then even like when I GA'd at Alabama and Florida State, because when you get older, you just become more mature, and that's what you do, right? And but when I was here, the great experience about here was, I knew I wasn't going to be able to play, and if I did, it would be a holder or something like that. So I wanted to start coaching. I knew I wanted to coach. So Coach Rodriguez gave me that opportunity. I told it to Dad actually going into my senior year. I said, "Hey, I want to coach." And he got mad because he thought, "Well, you ain't riding my coattails. If you want to do it, we're going to find out if you want to do it or not." So I had to go talk to Coach Rodriguez myself. He didn't prep him or anything. So I went in there, talked to him, and he let me come out as a student coach, worked with 2 years on defense, Coach Kerlav, and 2 years on offense. And what it did for me was it made me grow up pretty quickly because it was a fine line. I was living with the players, hanging out with them. Those are my friends. But then I'm coming into staff meetings, discussing personnel issues, topics. So it's a fine line to walk at that age as a freshman. And then through those 4 years. But what it did was it showed me how I needed to grow up, how I needed to separate church and state a little bit. But the experiences to be able to, to be in part of those games and listen to the thought process. I mean, like when we decided to go for the fake in the Sugar Bowl and how that came up, and then just the discussion of like in Louisville when Adam went down and Pat went in the game. That game single-handedly changed Mountaineer history for forever. It's just to be part of that and listen to the dynamics of it, and then also the changeover where when we had Pack and Chris and all those guys, and then moving on to the new group, and just to all those dynamics, you learn so much through experience. Same thing we did at Alabama going through that. I was there the one season they didn't win 10 games. I was there that first season, but to see the changeover and see what Coach Saban had to do to implement what he wanted done. And with Coach Fisher and transitioning from Coach Bowden to Coach Fisher, you witness all those things and you learn from them. And so, it was definitely a step that got me started down the path that I am now.
You said that you knew you weren't going to play here, but you did actually play in a JV game. Does any video of that still exist?
I hope not. Golly, I hope not.
Still photos, actually.
I know. So that came up because we had one quarterback available. It was Adam. All right, and we were trying to redshirt Adam, and he didn't. They wanted to get him hurt, so who could do it? And I was like, well, hell, I'll do it. So the best thing about it is I got to play a little bit, but I didn't have to go through Boris's workouts because Boris's workouts would have probably been the end of me. But no, and that's with my experience here, I was a student assistant. I got to witness the guys like Jamal Adai, the guys that came through and played, the Pats, the Stevies, the Owens, the Moses, the Garens. Those are the guys that blood, sweat, and tears out there. I was just fortunate enough to be able to, as a student assistant, just to sit back and watch the coaches that were here develop those guys and watch those guys develop and watch what they did as a team and as players to go out there and the chemistry that they had. So, you know, it was great to witness it. I wish I could say I had big-handed, but I did not. I was just able to witness it and see what those guys did. But yeah, that game, yeah, that was fun.
But if you can cue up, I mean, Jamal has obviously gotten a lot of mileage out of the big hit against Virginia Tech.
No question.
You actually took one in that game, if memory serves right, that was
just
as bad.
Yeah, that kid signed up with I think he ended up signing with Georgia. He's like a 5-star. And they called speed option, and as soon as the play came in, I looked at him and I sounded like, "Are you serious right now?" I take off, I pitch it, and he stuck me in the chest, and I was like, "Yep, there we go." That was good. So, but that was a fun day, and I actually got to throw a touchdown on Brandon Tate there to win the game at the end. But man, I mean, those memories. I mean, I remember the players in the stands losing it, having a blast. But no, that was a good time. That was a good time.